Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. So again, we have some pieces of Disney Plus news that came out last night at D23, and these are more specifically Marvel related. Now, I'm not going to go over the stuff they did about the television series that had already been announced, which was Winter Soldier, Loki, and I don't know why I can't remember the third one, WandaVision. So those series, I'm not going to go over anything. They went into a little bit more detail on them, but I don't think it's anything that people really already couldn't have figured out for the most part. But I am going to talk about the three series they did announce, and here's the thing, these are basically just announcements. I don't even think they gave a date for when these things are going to come out, and they didn't have any actors come out and actually talk about them. Kind of similar to what they did with the Hawkeye series, where Jeremy Renner was attached, but they hadn't attached an actress to be playing the Kate Bishop character. Now let's go with the bad before we get to the potentially good, and talk about Miss Marvel. Now, I said before there were rumors that this was going to come out. I said it probably is going to be a show that's going to go direct to Disney Plus. I was correct on that. It is a show. It's going to go direct to Disney Plus, and this is kind of one of those things. This is probably the best case scenario we could have hoped for in terms of adapting this character. Now, if they start showing up in films, then you're going to have probably some issues depending on how that goes. But Kamala Khan is not a very I've gone over this before. Kamala Khan is not a very popular comic book character. She doesn't sell very many comic books, and I believe her series was canceled at least once, I believe. And again, she's a character that not a lot of people like. Now, you can change that going into a television show. You can rewrite them and you can make them better. But the other problem that she has is her power set is not really very, I wouldn't say unique, but her power set is very similar to Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four, and in many ways he has a better power set because his intelligence also complements his superpowers. In this case, Kamala Khan, she can do stuff like she can expand her body and she can stretch and stuff like that. And that's basically all she can do. There's not a whole lot of nuance to that. And they've said something about she may show up in Captain Marvel 2, although that's a rumor, so we're going to leave that alone for right now. But arguably, this is the best case scenario that we could have hoped for in terms of having her come in if they were going to do it. Again, I think it's a bad idea. I think you're setting a bad precedent by bringing in characters that do not sell comic books. You're not going to move a show by giving them a character that generally people don't like anyway. So I don't expect that show to get terribly good ratings, at least not as good as most of the other properties they've announced, which have a lot of the legacy characters in them. You know, WandaVision, obviously, in the title, Winter Soldier and Falcon, Hawkeye, you know, those series carry more weight because we've seen those characters on screen and we've grown to love those characters. Now we move into the second announcement, which was another one that we all thought would be announced here, although I was hoping it was going to be a movie as opposed to a series, and that is Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight, as I've said before, they've been trying to get this one off the ground for a while. James Gunn has talked about it. The Russo brothers have talked about it. And this series, they've confirmed, is going to be following Mark Spector, who is the first Moon Knight, and you know, his struggle and stuff with multiple personalities and shit like that, which is something that travels over from the comic books. So that is very interesting to me. I like that idea. I hope they get somebody good to play him. Please, Keanu Reeves. And you know, I'm interested to see where that series goes. That's probably the first Disney Plus series that I actually do, or the first Marvel-related Disney Plus series that I actually might want to watch. But you know, again, we don't learn a lot. It's just an announcement. We don't know when this is premiering or how far down the road it's going to be. But this is good. I don't think this is a bad announcement. I think this is a good announcement, and I think as long as they don't fuck him up, I think they'll be fine. Now, the next one is a mixed bag, and it was one that a lot of people were not expecting to happen, and that is She-Hulk is going to be getting a series on Disney Plus as well. Now, this is a mixed bag because this could go either very good or very bad. Now, She-Hulk has been in the comics for a very long time. Her character is Jennifer Walters, who has been confirmed that is going to be the character that's used for the show. It's not going to be some reimagining or anything. In the comics, she's a lawyer. She gets a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner that because of the gamma radiated blood, it changes her physiology and turns her into She-Hulk. So she's a bit different than the Hulk, though, in the sense that she doesn't have so much of the Hulk insanity. She's level headed. She doesn't. She can still operate normally in her Hulk form, as opposed to what Bruce Banner used before he became Professor Hulk in the films. He was just a raging beast. But she is very, very different in that respect, although she is not as powerful. Now, in the comics, they've changed her visually over the last few years and basically made her extremely roided out, like muscles out of everywhere. Basically made her look like a man. And that turned a lot of people off. And I feel like if you try and do that with the comic books, or if you try to do that with this Disney Plus show, I think it's going to turn a lot of people off. And I would much rather see the classic interpretation of She-Hulk. She still has muscles, but she still has that female figure. It works very well. I think that would be a better option to go to, and I would be very interested to see it. Now, again, this series I feel like could go one of two ways. It could either go that SJW route, which seems to be where Marvel is leaning more and more because they're pulling characters from more recent memory in the comic books, even though they have a 60, 70-year comic history to pull from. Go figure there. But or they could go for the more classic interpretations, at least to introduce some of these more classic characters, which I think they're probably going to do with Moon Knight. I hope they do it with She-Hulk. Right now, also, we have no idea if Mark Ruffalo is going to be involved in the series at all, if they're going to be changing her origin. There's a lot of questions that are up in the air about this one, but this was a very surprise announcement. Most people were not expecting them to announce a She-Hulk series. There really hadn't been any rumors of it, to my knowledge. The other two we figured were probably going to happen. Kamala Khan, especially, there was a lot of rumors about that, and Moon Knight was heavily rumored as well. But this was a surprise. But I think it's a welcome one right now. But I think we're going to have to watch very closely how this series develops. For the near future to see what we're going to get. And also, a side note, Gina Carano is appearing in The Mandalorian, so they must like her to some extent. I wouldn't be surprised if you heard something in the near future about maybe her playing She-Hulk, and I think that would be actually a great idea. But, that's just my opinion on these things. I want to know what your opinion is. What do you think about these three shows? Do you think that they're good? Do you think that they're bad? What's your opinion on the characters and the adaptations and how you think that this is going to be handled going forward? Or do you just think that this is going to be this is more confirmation of a complete train wreck and Disney is going to, Marvel, Disney is going to shit out? I'd like to know your thoughts. Again, put them in the comments. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?